Ole Bishov demonstrates a standard oучи gari. Here he uses a two-step movement to prepare to throw. He pulls on the sleeve and pushes on the lapel. And completes an inner reap with his right leg. However, Bishov's version of oучи gari takes a very different approach. He comes over his opponent's arm to clamp the back of the jacket. He takes hold of the sleeve and feints with his hip before throwing. He draws his opponent close in preparation for the attack. With the grip around the back, he catches the sleeve and inserts his hip with a surigoshi attempt. He then switches direction backwards to throw with oучи gari. You can see how he feeds the lapel to his left hand before taking the grip around the back. He provokes a defensive reaction from his opponent. In a more competitive situation, Bishov fights to regain the sleeve grip and keep the momentum going to set up the attack. This angle shows how he maintains pressure by bearing down on his opponent, transferring his grip at the right moment, a simple feint, and then the drive backwards. This is a series of moves which Bishov has practiced many times. He is able to play with the reaction of his opponent, controlling both the timing and the execution of the throw. Bishov shows the position and posture he likes to have his opponent in when he throws with oучи gari. Ideally, he wants their leg weighted forwards and their upper body turned slightly as he secures his grip. From this position, Bishov feeds his left hand into the lapel. The right arm controls their left arm and upper body as he bears his weight downwards over their foot. You can see the force and pressure he is exerting through his opponent's shoulder. Pulling him sideways and downwards. He now has a stable position from which to attack, ensuring close body contact and control. This final shot shows Bishov's own posture and body position at the point of entry for the throw. Bishov shows the direction he likes to attack in when throwing with oучи gari. He places his head against his opponent's shoulder. Note the use of his head and direction he takes as he turns his hips inwards and then outwards. With the Surigoshi feint, his head is pointing in a forward direction. Then, as he switches direction for the oучи gari, he changes his head position and buries it against his opponent's shoulder. Bischoff sinks his hips as he launches an explosive attack backwards. He focuses on controlling the upper body, the precision of the head, and the sudden change of direction. Against Sedej of Slovenia at the 2012 Dusseldorf Grand Prix, Bischoff explosively throws his opponent backwards. Using his head against their chest to follow through in the direction of the throw. In the same tournament, a fine example against Pietri of France, who the following year went on to become world champion. Again, a clear direction, line of attack, and use of the head are all in evidence. We now focus on the execution phase of Bischoff's oучи gari. Using the two-step movement, Bischoff hooks in with his leg. In slow-mo, this move is shown almost as a blocking, gake type movement. Bischoff pushes strongly off the balls of his feet. Without uke, Bischoff demonstrates the movement he uses to prepare the attack. The final sequence shows how Bischoff commits and drops his hips, turns his body to face his opponent, and drives him backwards, keeping a low centre of gravity. In the 2009 World Championships, on his way to a bronze medal, Bischoff successfully catches Jezek of the Czech Republic with an over-the-top grip, followed by a fast, low oучи gari. At the Moscow Grand Slam against Briere of Italy, Bischoff has control of the upper body, as he drops his hips and body to launch a strong, scoring attack to the rear off of his right knee. In the semi-final of the 2012 Paris Grand Slam, Bischoff fights Toma, who at that time represented Moldova. He stretches his attack leg to hook in low, bearing down on his opponent, having secured his firm, controlling grip around the back. In this clip, Bischoff shows gripping advantages, a very simple kumikata game that he likes to play. It's a game that you point score in your mind. If you have one hand gripped on your partner's jacket, then you have 1 point. If you have both hands on, then you have 2 points. The aim is to keep your score higher than your partner's. For demonstration purposes, Bischoff shows some gripping sequences in step-by-step form. For example, now it's 0-0. Now Bischoff is 1-0 ahead, and now it's 1-1. 2-1 to Bischoff, and 2-2. Bischoff goes 2-1 down, and now it's 1-1. Bischoff then goes 2-1 ahead. And now it goes back to 1-0 to Bischoff. And finally, 2-0 to Bischoff. And this is Bischoff's favourite. From 2-0 down, he uses one of his most effective grip breaks to go 2-0 ahead. His partner has a sleeve and high collar grip. Bischoff uses the grip break he invented to break off both grips, leaving them in a position where they can't re-grip and where he can put both hands on their jacket. An important element of Bischoff's judo is his gripping strategy and the preparation which goes into making this so successful. He lifts his hands up to create a defence, but keeps his fingers and hands fluid so he can block if needed. In a right v right training situation, Bischoff builds a series of moves with his gripping. Here, his left hand moves quickly between wrist, lapel and wrist. The right hand cross grips. Both hands pull the arm downwards. Bischoff uses his gripping to break up the exchange with his opponent and to disturb his balance and movement. Both hands on one arm are used to pin this side of the opponent's body. The right hand is released to then control the head. Using a series of cross-grip movements, Bischoff is able to lock off the opponent's head. Following a strong pull on the same side lapel and sleeve, Bischoff uses his left hand to force the head down and trap it under his own armpit. Bischoff says he always likes to fight with two hands against one hand and target the opponent's shoulder. For example, with a right-hander, he will target their right shoulder. And with a left-hander, their left shoulder. Bischoff says by targeting the shoulder, he can stop them turning in and block a potential attack. In the 2011 Moscow Grand Slam against Bruyere of Italy, Bischoff builds his cross grip to clamp his right hand over his opponent's back and attempt sumigaeshi. To avoid a penalty, an attack must follow the cross grip immediately. The opponent is a left-hander, so Bischoff pressures and targets the left shoulder. Against another Italian, this time the right-hander Ciano, in the 2012 Düsseldorf Grand Prix. Once again, you can see Bischoff's hands up and moving quickly between the wrist and the lapel. This time, as Ciano is a right-hander, he targets his opponent's right shoulder with the cross grip. In the semi-final of the same tournament, the opening contest phase sees Bischoff employing his cross-grip strategy. As Pietri of France is a right-hander, Bischoff attacks the right shoulder with both hands to exert pressure and to gain control.